Well, in the football, the men's semi-finals of the Olympics football takes place later today. Morocco play Spain and France play Egypt. France qualify the semi-finals after beating Argentina 1-0. A fight broke out at full time, and Nicolas Otamendi, who was involved in the brawl, said that he was annoyed that some of the players were celebrating in the direction of the players' families. Which, I don't know, is it disrespectful? Can't you just celebrate at anyone in a stadium if you've won a football match?
I mean, it's incredibly rich from Otamendi.
Exactly. Argentina talking about being disrespectful.
To what they've been
interesting
up to.
Twist that.
Well, they were filmed singing racist songs aimed at the France team after winning the Copa America. I realise not many of those players will be cross-pollinating those two squads, but it's still a spicy situation, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of young black players in the French team who would have really felt that. I mean, I don't know why Argentina wouldn't have expected that reaction, really. So, you can talk about the World Cup final and, how that might have started to create this new rivalry. And I understand that argument. But the fact is, this has stepped it up beyond all recognition. I mean, at the end of it, at the end of the World Cup final in 2022, when Emi Martinez was doing his thing, Hugo Lloris, the way he dealt with it, and this was losing the World Cup final on penalties and then being goaded by a man pretending, the player of the tournament trophy was the goalkeeper of the tournament trophy was his penis. Hugo Lloris just went, that's a bit unseemly. It was the equivalent of writing a letter to Points of View, really, wasn't it? It was a very British reaction to it, almost.
God, we used to be a country, didn't we?
But in the football match, two Crystal Palace players made decisive contributions for France. Elise set up Mateta for
former Palace.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, on the move. That's probably bittersweet for any Palace fans watching that link up for probably the last time ever. Brilliant finish from Mateta, though, wasn't it? I'm loving his his flourishing. He really, really looks the part. And Olympic international teams are, I think it's probably because obviously we don't enter a team aside from entering Team GB that time. They do feel this sort of like this kind of exotic parallel world thing that only other countries get to enjoy, where you get these really strange lineups. And of course, because of the Euros and the Copa America, the squads are even stranger this time. But yeah, I'm slightly jealous of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're just kind of looking at everyone's developmental squads, aren't you, really?
Essentially,
It's like what we're going to be facing up against in 10 years' time.
Except for a couple of notable players, I suppose, like Otamendi, Julián Álvarez, for example.
Lacazette.
Yeah, Lacazette there is fantastic for me. But also, Nicolas Otamendi getting into a row in 2024 is enjoyable to me as well, despite the context.
There's proper Grandpa Simpson vibes to it, though, isn't there? I mean, he's 36 years old. He's just
in the wrong as well.
Clearly,
he's on the wrong side of history.
he's just completed a 360-day season, and he'll be starting training again at Benfica later this week.
I do not like them kind of rolling right into their squad.
I know you're a long time retired and stuff, but still.
Get De Gea in there. He's done nothing for 12 months. I think he's finally found a club.
Yeah. Well, Julián Álvarez this season was technically 13 months long or something. The Olympics in as well.
Tim Vickery was telling me yesterday that he'd played 74 games this season before the start of the Olympics. Now, if ever there was a moment where you thought maybe Manchester City are willing to sell him, it's like, I know you've had a long season. Yeah, do go out, play the Copa America. Do go out, play the Olympics.
Yeah.
Not going to be our problem in a month and a half, is it?
We'll put some welds in on your cells and we'll just sell you on. Alvarez is currently playing for Argentina in the Olympics, as you say, but he may very well find himself in Arsenal squad sooner rather than later. Do you see this happening, Jim?
I don't. I would love to see it happen. I think he's a brilliant player. He's a sort of psychotic finisher. It's really, really deadly. He's got a lot of different sort of tools in his locker, but I don't think City would sell him to Arsenal now. That'd be mad, wouldn't it?
Well, I guess that's the thing. Do you think, looking backwards, the first at least half, three-quarter season of Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus at Arsenal made them think, we're not going to do that again?
I heard there was an internal rule that they would stop specifically selling players to Arsenal, which I imagine they would extend to anybody that they're not going to sell players to Liverpool either, are they? I would imagine it's a thing internally.
Well, it's I think Atletico Madrid are also linked with him. They seem like kind of heavy favourites.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing, I suppose, is it shows you how the transfer market has changed over even the past 6 months. Because you would look at that even 6 months ago, let alone a year ago, and say there is no way in a million years that Atletico can afford him. But you look at the players, the teams out there, and not even like PSG level teams who are going and buying Premier League players now, who they no way would have been able to afford. Like, you think of like Marseille and Nketiah, for example, that being a possibility. That is never on the table 12 months ago. And say Conor Gallagher and being agreed between Chelsea and Atletico, whether I have doubts whether we will go there, but we'll see.
Yeah, and is this because of PSR in England? Because teams only accept lower offers.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's it. They've got to get the market moving somehow.
But the wage bills presumably will be an obstacle for a lot of these clubs, no?
Yeah, but you can be like, if you're Atletico Madrid, you can be like, it's so nice here. Madrid. Come on, mate. It's Madrid.
That's worth 50 grand off your weekly.
We've read about Manchester. We know what it's like. I do like the idea that Arsenal go in for Alvarez and they're like in there with City. And City are like, we'll sell you. He's a very good striker. He is a striker, though. Sort of, yeah. Because you've done this to us before. Is he a striker or not? Well, he can play as a... No.
The word striker is in his Wikipedia. Yeah. It is. Mikel Merino is reportedly also rather keen to join Arsenal as well. Apparently, Arsenal are concerned about his age. Sign him now, because it's only going to get worse, isn't it? That situation is not improving.
Do you remember much about Merino from his time at Newcastle? He was only there very shortly, wasn't he?
He's one of those kind of players that you feel like he had 2 games in the team, but he probably had about 40. It's absolutely wild.
They had no patience to develop him.
No.
Wasn't he
at all,
flipped
did
for
they?
profit because of Mike Ashley?
Yeah. Well, it was Rafa's signing, wasn't it? I believe.
Like a Slazenger sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Was he Marino and like Hosselu? I imagine rightly Newcastle fans be like, well, we'll never see those two again.
You might in the opposition dugout. Yes, domestic football returned to Scotland at the weekend. Scottish Championship side Wraith Rovers sacked their manager Ian Murray after losing their first game of the season. Is there ever a good time to sack a manager, Jim? Is it after one game in the first weekend of the season?
No, it's not.
Right.
It's the quotes are amazing because they talk about how results actually throughout this calendar year haven't been good enough despite them finishing second last year. It's like, just do it at the end of the season then.
Do it at the end of the season.
Why is this like a 1-0 defeat on the opening day? How can that possibly be so seismic to you
It's a 1-0.
that you push this button?
Yeah. I mean, Andy, can you remember any sort of really early managerial losses in leagues? I mean, I'm sort of thinking that it can't be this early. You just don't pull the plug now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that springs to mind actually is I remember Paul Lambert at Norwich losing his opening game of the season 7-1 at home to Colchester.
See, that is more divisive, you would say.
Fans were throwing their season tickets at him.
Ridiculous.
First game of the season.
And they ended up getting promoted.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, it works then.
What would you do now? You'd make a show of deleting your season ticket from your Apple wallet? Or would you just chuck your phone?
Chuck your phone, yeah.
You've got to wait till your screen is on the screen for that to work, don't you really?
You chuck your phone and then someone in the line by comes and nicks it off the manager.
Well, there were fantastic scenes elsewhere when the first goal of the Scottish Premiership season was scored by Dundee United in the Dundee derby. It ended 2-2. The quality was there in certain attacking sectors, let's say, but the rest of that match was just chaos.
Can we just get onto the Guard of Honour?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, okay. Well, Dundee had to. I don't know whether they had to, but they did give Dundee United a Guard of Honour for winning the championship last season.
Dundee fans are furious about that.
What is going on?
Throw your fish cakes. That's what I said.
And then they interviewed a player from each side at the end of the game. What?
They're just trying new stuff up there. They're just trying new stuff.
Being nice to each other, it'll never catch on. What are they playing at?
Yeah, I mean, if you are kind of, it's your biggest rivals, and you're having to give them a Guard of Honour. It's not like Chelsea having to give Arsenal or Arsenal having to give Chelsea. You got the same name, for crying out loud. That is unwelcome.
Stadiums are practically touching. It's an amazing rivalry.
You didn't need 2 stadiums, really, but you hate each other that much. You've got 2 stadiums.
You will not countenance the idea of sharing, and fair enough. I think I love that rivalry just because it's so absurdly close. And the Guard of Honour is obviously a little bit of spice as well. And it was a really, really tense, like spicy game as well.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Really, really chaotic. Worth the watch of the highlights, I think. Celtic are already top of the league. St Mirren were the only other side to win on the opening weekend.
Yeah, and St Mirren have got a huge European game this week as well. Right? First time since the 80s, I think they've been in Europe. But it's funny. I watched Hearts Rangers, which was fairly tepid, and then you think Rangers have got this massive Champions League qualifier later in the week. I mean, obviously Jose Mourinho started already. For the hardcore.
Scotland and Jose just getting shit done.
Exactly.
Yeah. Andy, you've got a little bit of news from the Turkish Super Cup at the weekend that you simply have to get off your plate, and I think that's fair enough because it's interesting.
I love a Super Cup, and bear in mind, we're talking about Jose Mourinho. His Fenerbahce, well, not his Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce got 99 points and didn't win the league last season because Galatasaray got over 100 and pipped them. Having done that, Galatasaray were 1-0 down after 21 seconds of the Super Cup against Besiktas this weekend and ended up losing it 5-0. Which is, you can say that it doesn't really matter. I think when you lose the Super Cup 5-0, it matters.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because their coach, Okan Buruk, who's a great coach, he waded into this really bizarre sort of controversy afterwards. Yeah. Because, I guess you're reaching for words after such a beating like that. And, sometimes when you start digging and you can't stop digging. Well, he was talking about it afterwards. When they went down to 10 men in the second half, he said, I called Zaha over. I called Wilfried Zaha over. And I said to him, Baruch, who was of course very good during the Euros, I told him Baruch was going to right back and we're going 4-3-2. And he completely misinterpreted it. And we ended up playing a totally different system. And it's that may be true. I don't know if you throw him under the bus like that.
Yeah. It seems...
Someone's in his ear going, get him off the wage bill. Just get him off the wage bill. Whatever you have to.
Zaha's taken it very well by removing all the pictures of him in Galatasaray kit from his social media profiles.
Back to Palace, one last job.
Yeah.
Replace Elise.
Well, you said before we started you might finally get him.
Yeah.
Might finally get him. He's still got something to offer somewhere else, hasn't he? I don't know.
I mean, you tell us, Andy. How's he done?
How was his first season?
Apart from not failing to follow instructions, how is he doing?
Honestly, if I were them, I would be keen to get rid of his massive wages.
Right. Okay.
He's been okay, but
he scratched his itch of playing in the Champions League, didn't he? I think there's also a little bit of.
He was scratched in turn.
Yeah. But given what he's done in the league, and given that, from what I saw of him, in flashes last year, he hasn't really lost what he's good at. I suppose. You wouldn't be surprised if a Premier League team took a punt on him in the lower half of the table.
I suppose the interesting thing is, with him out of the Palace bubble, for so long, Palace lent on him so hard.
Yeah.
And now he's in a situation where, if you play well, it's definitely a plus for the team. But it's not something that we desperately need.
Right.
And that's a totally different feeling. You've got to redefine yourself. Obviously, that's something he didn't cope with particularly well at Manchester United, although he's a younger man then, so we shouldn't judge him on that. But I guess it makes you wonder, outside Palace when he's in his prime, what sort of context does he really work in? Because what stopped him leaving Palace earlier is the fact that he was worth far more to Palace than he was to any other team. Yeah. So no one was prepared to shell out 75, 80 million for him, were they?
Yeah, interesting. Elsewhere, Mallorca have been preparing for the upcoming season with the Tour of England. A lot of chat about this on X, good stuff on X over the weekend. The tour involves friendlies against Crewe Alexandra, Barnsley and West Brom. They won all 3 matches.
All glamour professional football.
That's all you can ask for, really.
They're all places that, to me, having been to none of them, have a specialist sandwich.
Right, okay, yeah.
They're known for a sandwich
you're saying
some sort.
It's
always
a pre-season non-carbs diet, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Do you think it's kind of but those kind of sandwiches are always very dependent on what bread it is. It's always a different word for the bread.
Yeah. So it's
bam.
they're doing they're doing the Barm Bap Gimlet Derby.
Just bread in bread.
Yeah.
It's like the turducken of bread. Just endless layers of different kinds of bread.
I guess the thing is, though, this kind of reminds me... When you were talking about your own pre-season routine, Vish, it was making me thinking about, if you go back to the 80s when top flight teams from here, their pre-season tour, rather than going to America or whatever. It was go to Sweden, beat some 4th division amateurs like 10-0 and just drink for a week.
Yeah.
Or go to like Tenerife and just have a summer holiday with a couple of games in there.
with your mates. Yeah, I mean, they've got to go somewhere, but they are going to be starting their La Liga campaign away to Real Madrid. So,
I mean, what are they learning?
I hope you've enjoyed. They won all the matches. How to win. They've learned how to win.
Bloated, and they've got an unrealistic expectation of their opponents now. They're going to get smashed.
Chasing Endrick first game of the season. Oh, God, Stitch.
I guess if you've gone to West Brom, you might understand Jude Bellingham's instructions to his teammates.
Maybe that's it. Did he call me a twat? He did, yeah. I knew it.
All right, then. We're going to be hitting you upside the head with Jermaine Genius, filming himself having a pint next.
Times when you've been out all week, busy, working hard, securing the coin. Only certain man know what I'm talking about when it comes to securing the coin. You just feel like you've earned it.
You top boy.
Come on. Lovely drop, that. Lovely drop, city boy. Lovely drop.
I had no idea he had it in him to
do that to us.
Well, just to be interesting.
No, right? I think so. He's doing an impression of someone,
right?
But I've never seen him do this before.
No, I haven't.
Has he got these levels?
It's a bit Sol Campbell, isn't it? Sol Campbell started filming himself being really weird.
Yeah.
As proof of how normal he was.
I've got levels that you don't want to see them. They're horrible. The top of my iceberg is fine. But underneath,
he might be taking the piss out of that, Instagram culture of grinding and hustling. And,
right, okay. I presume that's the case.
But also, that feels right up his street. So I don't really know how to take it.
He's a bit, Diary of a CEO, right?
Yeah.
He's a bit Lambert. Is it Lambert? Lambeth. Who is it?
I don't
Lambeth
know.
Council.
Lambeth Council. Thanks to friend of the Ramble, Bill, for sending us that clip. You can become a friend of the Ramble too by heading over to patreon.com/Football Ramble. You get access to the Discord where you can chat with us and other Ramble listeners and get free episodes, ad-free episodes of the Ramble. They're always free, up front and on the continent.
Stephen Bartlett.
Lambert. Lambert and Butler. Stephen Bartlett.
Is that rhyming slang? Was that what you were doing?
That's how he got started. He just selling cigarettes. Right, Man City beat Chelsea 4-2 in a pre-season friendly in Columbus, Ohio, and quite famously, raw dogging his flight over to America was Haaland. He was he reckoned that he didn't watch any films, he didn't drink anything, he just watched the map for
People
8
aren't
hours.
really doing that with the whole raw dogging trend.
Have you ever seen anyone do it? Because I have. My mate went to Japan and I watched him.
I've been to
Japan, and he was in the row next to me, and for 13-14 hours he just stared into the middle distance. He didn't do anything. He just
didn't sleep or anything?
Didn't. Well, I slept obviously, but I don't know. Maybe he was just doing all the stuff while I was asleep. But yeah, I have seen people do it. I don't understand it. His argument was that any films that you'd want to watch, he wouldn't want to see on the little screen anyway. So why bother? And it's like just Genesee stuff. I think.
You got to find a medium, a film that you would sort of be happy to watch on a little screen.
One that you've already seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Or one that you wouldn't want to pay for at the cinema. I once watched Crocodile Dundee in LA on a plane, for example.
Yeah.
Right.
Hold on. Crocodile Dundee in LA, the film, or Crocodile Dundee
the film.
in LA?
Yeah. The film on the way to somewhere else.
I watched the M. Night Shyamalan recent nonsense, Old, on a plane. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
That is a good film.
But isn't that about people getting deserted somewhere?
No, it's about a stupid beach where
everyone goes old.
Everyone gets older for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
And all the wounds heal really quickly.
Yeah.
But until he said that, I was going to say something about Man United, but the wounds do not feel very easy. But he's in rude health, Haaland. He scored a couple, and he only scored a hat-trick, in fact, and I'm sure whoever plays him on the first of the season won't be relishing the prospect of facing off. It's Chelsea.
Yeah.
It's Chelsea. It is Chelsea.
I think, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if he did potentially raw dog that flight, because you mentioning people doing it when you're actually in the vicinity of them.
Yeah.
I think if people are posting about it online, then they're probably not really doing it.
Right.
If you see it in the wild, that's a contract killer. Just
Right.
I think Haaland's obviously got a bit of that about him.
Yeah, I think Ronaldo could probably do it. quite easily because he just thinks
if you told him he couldn't, then he would.
Then he would,
the Turkish guy from the Olympics.
Yeah, he could do it. Yeah, he could fly the plane. It's like he's not landing it up, taking it up in the sky. He's flying it forever until it runs out of fuel. But good to see the new academy prospect Calvin Phillips at centre back. He's found his position.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of that in this season.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems weird that he's sort of back in. I know it's a pre-season friendly and stuff, but he looked okay. A bit further back, I think his ball delivery was quite nice.
He's a good player. He's a good player.
Yeah.
He is. He's a good player who's had a bad time. But I do kind of wonder if Pep Guardiola took a look at the pitch and thought, should we get Calvin out there?
Should we get the tractor out? Yeah. I mean, is he kind of like, is he just trying to find a new position in a team that the position that he would usually play has just taken up with better players?
I mean, I guess the thing is, at this point in the season, we know that Guardiola loves to convert a midfielder into a centre-back. You know, he's done it before with Kimmich, Mascherano.
Yeah.
He's always trying to create a little puzzle for himself, isn't he?
Yeah.
So maybe
trying
this
to make
is
football
the next stage of
harder
that.
for him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's raw dogging football.
He's raw dogging
Making it more
football.
difficult. Enzo Maresca was managing against his former side Man City. Pep defended his former assistant manager, who've been pretty abject at the start of the season, or pre-season rather. Their mistakes happened due to the pitch conditions. At Stamford Bridge, that would not happen. I saw what Enzo wants to do, and I like it. I don't make a compliment because he's my friend and helped me for the year of the treble, but I am mentioning it to put it into your mind.
It's so great, yeah.
And this will be said again when we hammer them on the opening day of the season. Yeah, Chelsea have looked pretty shabby in pre-season, and they're just sort of trying to find a bit of, I don't know, find a bit of shape.
I mean, that's what pre-season is for.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be... You know, I suppose as a collective, I don't think we should put too much stock in those results. I mean, I do think, you know, even little things like, as we mentioned before, Calvin Phillips playing centre-back, I think that's just a man fulfilling his contractual obligations there, rather than, like, you know, anything more deeply meaningful. And I suppose similarly for Chelsea, because they've got so many players, I suppose the only thing Maresca is going to find out, and he'll find this out before he gets back and starts preparing for the Premier League, is... who are the players I look at and I trust implicitly in various different positions, and then because of the squad Chelsea have, you naturally have to whittle that down, and it sounds like he's quite good at that, considering how he was with Leicester in that season, in terms of like they had so many different players that could have gone elsewhere because of, you know, I suppose I was going to say because of regulations they had to adhere to, which they didn't, which they're people can look into. But you get the point, yeah. So I think that's the only thing he's going to find out is basically who he wants to bin off.
Yeah, it's very much like a shopping list of things I'm going to put on Facebook Marketplace in many ways. Liverpool beat Man United 3-0 Columbia, South Carolina. That was a fun little match in a way. I'm very much enjoying Mo Salah's new look.
Yeah, the bald era.
The bald era. It seems like he's got more hair now.
Yeah.
He just seems more aerodynamic.
Walk with that.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, fine. Okay, he's done a Keysy. Did you see that Richard Keys getting his hair transplant operation and stuff? You know, formerly the famous hairy man of football, as he shaves all of his or lasers his hands, I think, and now he's in the chair to get a hair transplant. But he shopped Jason McAteer and Sam Matterface, basically saying that they both recommended this particular hair place. Which
What a
is,
snake! A hairy snake,
hairy little snake, Richard Keys.
Hairy hairless snake.
Hairy hairless snake.
I might do that. Like if you walk past, I don't know.
Go up.
I'm going to stop that thought. Just the idea of throwing someone under the bus unnecessarily. They might not have had hair plugs.
Exactly. Yeah, sorry. I should really have spotted that with old. Well, it was kind of going.
But I guess he's the ultimate advert, isn't he, for hair replacement in Turkey or wherever else you're going to have it.
You wouldn't put it in the shop window, would you?
No, but I mean, what he's saying is, look, if it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone because I'm the hairiest man who's ever existed.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, they've got a lot of choices from where to take it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Hey, I'm already a cautionary tale.
May as well lean into it.
One of the few people where the surgeon took the follicle from the palm of his hand.
Well, Jadon Sancho has been reintegrated to the Man United squad by Erik ten Hag and started the game. He again has looked decent in pre-season, but you
talking of fulfilling contractual obligations.
But you kind of feel like he's still out of the door, strangely.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if that was going to happen, I mean, obviously there's a fair bit of the window window left. Unless I'm missing something, there doesn't seem to be any sort of regular speculation about a destination he might end up.
I think the two biggest contenders there are Dortmund, where he would obviously like to go back in a best case scenario, or Juventus, and both of those are trading furiously and they don't know how much they've got left in the pot.
Right.
So if they were going to make a move, it feels to me like it would be one of those ones in the last 2 weeks of the window. And when we're talking about like prices coming down, I think this is going to be the biggest last fortnight of a window for a very long time.
Right.
Because at the moment, no one really they want someone else to make the first move.
Yeah, the market sort of seems a little bit clogged up, doesn't it? We might even get a really strange deadline day for the first time in a while.
Oh, some weird moves. I'd love some weird moves.
Yeah. I think there will be a lot of weird moves. I think there'll be a lot of loans with obligations to buy.
Yes.
And I think that's where Sancho might... Well, certainly that's the avenue he might take out of Manchester United. Not that, everything sounds pretty rosy at the moment. I definitely expect to see him at the start of the season, but I can also envisage a point where he might actually go to Juventus on an initial loan with like a 10 million fee up front, or maybe a bit less, and then an obligation to buy further down.
Do you think it would be quite a United-ish thing if he was in the team for the start of the Premier League season or involved for the start of the Premier League season, was really good for the first 3 or 4 games, and then they sell him in that sort of deal?
Yeah, it's kind of sad because I definitely think that's a very Manchester United thing to happen. I don't really see it happening with Sancho, not least because because of the injuries to Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee. He's only just started training after the Euros. I do think there's been a lot of talk of Bruno and Sancho being the main options to play through the middle further forward.
Was a false 9.
Yeah, or even just as a bit more of a focal point, which you don't necessarily hit. So is it really a focal point at that point? But
it's a pre-focal point.
Yes, yeah. Ugh, sounds awful. But I do think there's a situation could arise where he won't play in his natural position and then not be very good. And not necessarily be on him, but they come to a bit of an impasse where it's like, we really liked this to work, certainly for the last couple of months, and it just isn't, so why don't we just part ways?
I mean, this signing of Zirkzee does make me think that they're like going to re-up and go big on Rashford as centre-forward this season. And I hope so. I think that would be really good for everyone. Ten
Hag did say that Rashford has been looking sharp off the left, which is obviously his favoured position. So maybe that will happen, maybe not. I guess the idea is that one of Zirkzee or one of Højlund will stake such a claim that it becomes a non-issue. I think with Juventus in particular, it's a risky move for Sancho, isn't it? Because say you go over there and then you win the league, and then 10 years later you find out, no, you didn't. But it's a real risk, isn't it? Contain everything.
Make sure you take a picture.
On Man United, Vish, why is Snapdragon a funny sponsor?
Snapdragon is a funny sponsor because it sounds like a level on Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
right.
To me, it sounds like a computer that Pete had in 1984.
Yeah, right, so, they make processors. They've done some great work in the ARM space of the PC world.
Okay,
they're actually riding high. To be honest, it's actually quite a good sponsor.
As in ARMS, as in like for war.
Well, no, an ARM processor in opposition to an x86 processor. These
thank God you've explained
that. I believe Jim's rocking an ARM processor, an M2 or whatever, and I've got an M1. That's a kind of ARM processor, I believe.
Does that? Sorry, I'm not talking to.
Can you tell us what
your computer
fucking mean?
The brain of your computer.
Right.
Yeah, go on Internet Explorer, Grandad. Click on West Ham.
Hold on, let me load up Netscape Navigator. Go on, how do you spell that?
I'm a Lycos man.
You are sounding a bit like Jonathan Pierce commentating on Robot Walk at the moment.
They make great processors. So I have been very much Snapdragon.
Right.
So I don't think anyone should criticise it.
Are you in the pocket of Big Dragon?
I'm in the pocket of Big Dragon. I just want a Big Dragon for out loud. Shakhtar Donetsk has been forced to clarify that former Liverpool manager Jürgen Klopp isn't working for the club. This broke, I think, on Friday, and I think I've seen it in my timeline. I've been sent it by members of my family on WhatsApp. Look at this man. Doesn't he look just like Jürgen Klopp? And he does look like Jürgen Klopp. Ihor Grishkovich went viral because he looks exactly like Jürgen Klopp. He's their master rehabilitator, and Shakhtar had to come out and basically say it's not Jürgen Klopp.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was truly under the impression that he was like surreptitiously working as a masseuse for Shakhtar.
You got to just keep your hand in, I suppose. literally. I would say
That's not how you massage people. We've been seen this before.
that's why mine closed. No, I mean, it isn't out of the pantheon of kind of football lookalikes. I mean, this is one of the best.
Really good. Yeah, really.
As someone, Pete, who knows a lot about lookalikes.
Oh yeah, I look exactly. I look like everyone.
He
but,
doesn't look that much like him. He looks like a Build-A-Bear version of Jürgen Klopp.
I think
He's got a smaller face.
He looks like exactly where that man is going to end up. Like, there's no way.
I'll give you that.
Jürgen Klopp is going to end up like a lovely Father Christmas kind of character.
Actually, I don't know.
He's very much.
I think he'll look as old as he does now forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he'll ensure that's the case. Put it that way.
He'll shrink at least, won't he?
Yeah.
He might do, yeah. Unless he puts himself in like stocks every night.
Didn't he have teeth done that was recommended by one of his players?
Bobby Firmino, yeah.
Bobby Firmino, and he said, I won't go that light.
Yeah.
Firmino went mad and chose the whitest teeth. But
and then Graham Souness did it as well.
Graham Souness, you forget, has been sexy for a long time. Like, he's looked good for a long time.
That's true, but if you're Souness, why would you get your teeth done? He doesn't smile enough. It's like how
you're not getting the money out of it.
How Rooney's had several hair transplants, but he's never done anything crazy for his hair. Why would you if you're
losing it because you're not using it?
Exactly, just shave it all off if that's going to be the extent of your ambition.
Yeah, they look so painful. Those things.
Yeah.
Most kind of physical transformations generally look. It's the bruising and the swelling.
Yeah.
It's two things you don't need in your life.
I have to say, the second half of this show has been the most brazen pitch for a sponsor that I've ever heard.
I'll write the transplant in my widow's peak. I'll write the name of the company for crying out loud.
I'm playing the seniority card. I'm going first.
Speaking of men who just never age, it's just like a fine wine. Alan Pardew is back in the headlines. Newcastle United are currently on a pre-season tour in Japan. They lost 2-0, I think yesterday or the day before, against Yokohama F. Marinos. And basically one Japanese fan, Ucha, revealed that he started supporting Newcastle United after seeing Alan Pardew headbutt David Myler in 2014. He said about 10 years ago, I watched a game against Hull City. The game was crazy. Alan Pardew with a headbutt. That's the first game I watched, and I fell in love with the team. They lost, I believe.
I think we need a remake of Sliding Doors about this man's life.
He could have been supporting. Why wasn't he supporting Hull? Why does he want to watch the world burn?
He just liked something about Pardew.
Just such a weird entry point, isn't it, really?
It was the same year as the Shut Your Noise.
Yes, it was,
Pellegrini as well.
Yeah.
So, Pardew's
Golden era of Pards.
Yeah, representing the city globally really well.
I very much like the idea of the pre sort of game stuff that they've been doing around the stadiums. Shola Amiobi's been doing a lot of like fan talkings and stuff.
Yes,
which I think is wonderful. Just talking about his apples
on a bike with an apple.
Yeah. Ringo apple or tabemaska. Do you eat apples?
I do.
Yes, I do.
I speak Japanese.
Yes.
Yeah. I always knew you had it in you, Jim.
This season, Andy. I mean, it's a bit of an opportunity for Newcastle, a fit Newcastle side with some slightly ageing footballers at the back. There's a lot of like teams around them who are going to be playing a lot of matches and a lot of matches that matter in the Champions League.
Yeah, that's true, and I think they're beginning to shape the squad quite nicely. I think the main thing, obviously, was that they held on to the players they really wanted to hold on to for the moment.
Murphy.
I thought, yeah, exactly. I thought it was brilliant, actually, Bruno Gimenez' social media post this week, which was, I don't know if it's possible to type from between gritted teeth, but where he said, I'm delighted to be at this wonderful club again for the coming season. It's just like, just type, this is not the sort of market in which I can be sold for 100 million.
And certainly not in the last 2 weeks. It's a sort of deal you can't get done in the last 2 weeks of the season, isn't it? Of the transfer market, rather.
And he had quite a tatty Copa America as well. But it's just not the sort of moment that he can be sold for 80, 100 million. No one's got that sort of money at the moment.
And if he was,
and they're not going to countenance selling him for less, are they?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously that works quite well for Newcastle in the short term. You know, they'd love to keep him. But if you'd have said when they signed him that they'll get, I know, 3.5 good years service out of him and sell him for like twice what they got him for, I mean, that's decent, isn't it?
You take that, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Well, they're going quite hard for Uncle Mark from Palace, obviously.
Do you think that'll happen?
Palace wants 70 million, and I understand that in this market. I can understand why Newcastle would balk at that as well. So perhaps for that reason he'll stay where he is, and they might just be, it might just be an untenable move. But I mean,
Cher's now like 33, is he? He's getting cracking on, isn't he, Fabian Cher?
Yeah.
He's a player of advancing years. I mean, who have you got there back there? You got Lascelles as well. I mean,
you're waiting for Gay to get Botman back, basically, aren't you? Around about Christmas. That's the thing that you're
nice.
waiting. Yeah, that would be really good.
That is nice.
But to me, it feels too good to be true for Newcastle. It feels like if a club is prepared to go all in for Gay, a bigger club is going to come along and go, okay, thanks for flushing him out and showing Palace's hand for us, and we'll sign him instead. I could see Newcastle going hard for him and him signing for Liverpool instead. Yeah, for example.
Well, it's the new transfer effect for the new setup at Newcastle. So on Friday we discussed Zlatan Ibrahimovic's frosty encounter with Pep Guardiola. He's now been seen out and about again. Zlatan, not Pep. This time delivering the first pitch at a New York Yankees game. Now,
wasn't Zlatan on Kimmel or something as well this weekend?
Was he? Okay, right. Is he on a massive PR blitz?
Fallon?
What's his plan?
He did. He did Fallon, and then he did went around the Barstool offices and stuff like that. There's a real kind of...
He's on a charm offensive.
Yeah, in America.
A brand builder.
Unless you're Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what is his end sort of play going to be here?
Does he live in America? Or does he plan on moving over there and being a personality there?
Right.
That's the only logic I have behind. I mean, it looks like he's having fun.
Dancing with the Stars.
Isn't he working for AC Milan's under in some capacity? Yeah.
He is. So that's why I guess that's the thing. When there was the Guardiola thing, normally I guess he just would have walked in the other direction and blanked him. Yeah. What he did in the end was actually worse because it was just such open disrespect. But you can imagine, Jerry Cardinale, the guy who owns, who's represents a major shareholder of Milan, him going afterwards. Because you're on the board, you have to make nice with people. And him going, well, shook his hand. What do you fucking want?
Seeing out of contract.
That's it, I suppose.
I mean, what are you getting with? I mean, presumably you are in those kind of positions. You're not getting actually any real workout with them, are you? Like a real skill base? Is it just kind of just being a bit of a figurehead? And so if you're going to employ Zlatan on a lot of money, you need him to be Zlatan, and that is him being Zlatan.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. It's a slightly sort of... It's like ambassadorial role on steroids.
Yeah.
I don't think you're expecting him to be the most adept deal broker, are you, necessarily?
You're just in the room because it's just like, this is not even French. He was a good footballer.
There's a lot of personality there. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. That's the thing.
That's always been his brand, to be fair.
And of course, that's going to go down brilliantly in the States. I mean, that really works for Milan. Zlatan being Zlatan whilst representing the club in the States. I mean, that's as good as it gets, surely. Yeah. I mean, it's something that all the other clubs that have opened up, you think of about 7 or 8 years ago, Bayern opened up an office in Manhattan. You can open up that office in Manhattan. If you've got Zlatan on your board, what do you need an office for?
Yeah. Didn't he famously shout at Jose Mourinho, I won you this league last season from the pitch when he asked to be substituted in a Insta shirt? I seem to recall that happening. Thank you for watching a clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an upload. A single upload. Don't miss out on the uploads. The uploads are important. Andy, you know what you were saying about Conor Gallagher and you don't think he's going to go to Madrid?
Oh, yeah.
You wanted this early record.
Do you know what I think the big reveal is here? We're thinking it's official because Fabrizio Romano has put it out.
Yeah.
Fabrizio Romano has put it out with a graphic of Conor Gallagher in a half Atletico, half Chelsea shirt, thus revealing that Fabrizio is a Donaldson ultra.